All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed, Dr. Tunji Abayomi joins us next. He's a legal practitioner and rights activist. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, I'm not sure how much of Senator Abamoro's perspective that you caught talking about this tax bill. So we'd like to hear from you now, because there's conversation about this all over the place to the extent that if care is not taken, one may lose what the substance and the main focus should be. So go ahead and talk to us. You can unmute just in case you're muted. Let's get your perspective on what you make of all of this back and forth about this tax bills before the National Assembly.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry. I'm actually in my village, so I'm sure I'm not quite okay with the Zoom. First and foremost, I think it's commendable that the president is initiating tax reform, because the system that is prevailing in the country present, in my view, is unjust and unfair in all ramifications. It will take the civil service a whole lot of low-paying employees essentially pay more tax than the high-profile, high-income citizens. The other issue is that the level and the organization of the whole tax system is in chaos. A lot of companies are imperiled by the disorder that is prevalent within the tax collection agencies. So there's a need for massive reform and reorganization, in my view, of the tax system in the country. If we come to the realization that most countries live on tax, if we take Britain, for example, there's a need for massive you will appreciate that the limited resources that is available to United Kingdom, its development is essentially based on tax. And you need tax to develop, on the other hand. So I'm impressed by the decision of the president to present to the National Assembly tax reform. And I commend the National Assembly too for working very seriously on this issue.
So, yes, it's a democracy and ideas are supposed to contend on this kind of matters, but what is your impression in terms of the way we've approached this, the kinds of conversation, or probably, let me use the word, pushback from some quarters about this particular bill or the bills?
Well, it's unavoidable that we'll have a lot of controversy on this issue. I think the senator just spoke about that. I think it's one philosopher who said that people would rather forget the death of their mother than the loss of property. So when you are bringing a reform that obviously is going to take money from some people, maybe redistribution, you are bound to have a lot of effervescence, a lot of conflicts, a lot of controversies, a lot of dialogue, a lot of politicking, sometimes resentment. So there's nothing extraordinary about it. I think what is essential is that the Senate is working hard, and I'm impressed on this particular issue. The way the Senate is handling it, I think is commendable. And I think we also have to have faith in the assurance of the National Assembly that at the end of it all, what they are going to give to Nigeria is what is best. I see the senator, he keeps saying, we are the representatives of the people. I think this is commendable in my view.
Dr. Abayami, I want you to address some fears that we're hearing from a lot of Nigerians, from many people online, really. Some of them have said, well, when you hear, oh, we need to step it down and have a conversation, it looks like it's going to be swept under the carpet. Many people are scared that that may be the agenda here, you know, to sweep it under the carpet, and then after a while, you know, Nigerians, we would forget. And then there are also fears among Nigerians that, you know, passing these bills, if they are eventually passed, you know, you're going to be taxing, you know, the rich, so to speak, in the country. Wouldn't that impact on the cost of goods and services as well? Just so you can give us some insight into, you know, these fears and if they're actually founded.
Well, thanks for those questions. The first thing that I think is essential is part of the challenges of governance that the peoples of Nigeria have faced. I think it is also essential, in my view, to have faith in our institutions. Now, that does not stop reformation or redirection or demands of the people for a greater better representation and better performances. But we must have faith in our institutions. In the present situation, we are looking at efforts of the Senate to bring for this nation tax reform. There's another issue that I think is essential. Tax reform is also crucial to reduce the level of corruption in this country. A situation where we have, Accountant General of the nation stealing billions, or leaders of pension commission taking the money that is supposed to give to people, retirees. All of these things, they are going to be controlled through the tax system. So the issue of stepping down and perceiving it as an attempt to sweep it under the carpet, I don't think that is necessary. We must have faith. The Senate is assuring us that they are going to come up with something that is good for us. Now, taxing the rich. Oh, look at the situation in this country. The rich, they do just whatever they want. They use the money. They don't. There's no fiscal responsibility. Look, these people, these so-called rich people, and there are lots of them, billionaires, millionaires, who spend so much. Buying all sorts of things, all sorts of private jet, traveling abroad, buying houses abroad where they don't live, and so on and so forth. Why should they not be taxed? How do you want to run the nation? Most of the money that goes to these rich people are actually public funds to begin with. And then these public funds in their hands are not taxed. There is no nation where the level of tax, the limited tax paid by these rich people are paid. There's no other nation except in Nigeria. So I am for serious review that is equitable. It's not a punishment. We are not talking of punishment. But it is important for the rich to pay what they should pay to the development of this country.
You know, one of the things that I would want to begin with is a comment from Law Alpha Cross on X, who is making this comment, and I think it is something you may also want to speak to. If the tax reform bill is targeted against the wealthy in the society, he writes, to enable them to be properly taxed, one is bound to worry if this step won't dovetail into high cost of goods and services because the taxpayers have to make profits. How do you respond to that?
The issue, I do not believe the complaint largely is from the companies, the corporate bodies. The concern of the corporate body is multiple taxation and disorder by the taxing authorities. The issue, however, is that there are lots of individuals in this country who have so much money, they barely know what to do with it, who pay virtually no tax. When you tax properly, you enhance wealth for development. If you take, for example, UK, I think at a level of income, a working man will pay up to 45% for tax. So if you don't pay your tax, you lose your resources. You can lose your house, and so on and so forth. In America, you go to jail very, very fast. The most sensitive and essential aspect of governance, development, management of a nation is the tax system. In other climes, in our country, it is not. I do not think there will be a problem as far as I can see. The point is that we know in this nation, people, wealthy people, pay very, very little tax. And you cannot run a nation and develop in this type of situation.
You know, Dr. Bayomi, looking at the people, the area of feedback and pushback that's been coming against these bills, what is your analysis? Mr. Oyedele, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, said, you know, in public that, look, it's as if the people that we are even fighting for are the ones that are fighting us, you know. So if you look at the area of people that are talking, pushing back against this bill, what is your analysis? What is your understanding of where they are coming from? Would you say that they are genuine or they're just being political with the truth? Or you say maybe indeed there is substance in the issues being raised?
Well, you know, there's a saying in the Bible that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. If you, for example, have an experience running for politics, and you say that you're fighting for the people against corruption, but people don't understand that because they need money. They will go to the pit of hell with due respect for that money. So it's a combination of many problems. Lack of understanding. There's the problem of resentment for one reason or the other. There's problem of politics and so on and so forth. But in the midst of all of this, we have elected representatives to bring out the best that is most suitable for the people. So the National Assembly should look at all of these issues and come up in the interest of the people. People for a change at the end of it all must feel that government is working for them. And this is the problem, because the perception of Nigerians is that government is working for itself. People look at the wealth of the nation, substantial part of it is used to run government. That's the truth. So if we now have a situation where a tax system is such that it allows the poor, it doesn't impose so much burden on the poor as I can see. At the level of certain income, you don't need to struggle to pay undue tax. Then at a level of certain income, you have to pay what you ought to pay. So in my view, I think everything should be okay. At the end of it, we should wait and have faith to have a final document that we can look at, that will believe will be in the best interest of the peoples of Nigeria, including, as I understand, the states are raising some issues. I think the Senate should look at it, because in my view, too much is in the hands of the federal government in this country, and too much is messed up by the federal government.
You know, Dr. Bayomi, this one last question is almost innocuous, but I think it is salient for the future. Part of the committee, the Presidential Committee on Tax Reforms and on Fiscal Reforms and Tax, Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms that the President set up under Mr. Yedele, are student tax clubs. And with these brickbats coming from, you know, left, right, and center, I don't know, what do you think will be going through the minds of those students right now? And because they will be wondering, hey, we're part of this thing, we know the values of this thing, but the kind of feedback that they are getting from all kinds of people, how do you think they are reacting to it now? What would you be saying to them?
You are talking of the students' reaction? Didn't quite get your question. I'm sorry.
I said the students.
Didn't quite get
yes. If you can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. We have just about 60 seconds. I'm just wondering, there are student tax clubs who are members of the committee that put up all of these bills. Given the brickbats that is coming back and forth, what do you think is going through their minds about governance and the way they could be attacked if and when they get into such positions of power?
Well, naturally, they have to play their role. I believe that the idea of, I believe that, you know, some of the students, as I understand from your question, they are part of this whole dialogue. So when they get to the point of leadership, you know, they will face the same challenges. So the important thing is that we have to stand for something as a people, instead of falling for just anything. So the students will play their role effectively. I mean, they should look at mentors. So I heard nations grow through mentorship. Where are the great people? Where are the great youths? Where are the great women that go beyond self-interest and look at general good?
Well, we appreciate your time this morning, Dr. Tunji Abayomi, who is a legal practitioner and human rights activist. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
And I bring greetings from my hometown, Okeagbe, London City.
Well, let's hope that you will not be taxed for being right there right now. Thank you for your time again. Now, when we take this break, we're going straight to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily.